I wanted to talk today about something that I like a lot, and that's Nintendo handheld consoles, particularly the 3DS. Now, it's actually really interesting. I have a lot of love for Nintendo handheld consoles. Um, the first thing I ever got was a Game Boy Advance when I was a little kid, like 5, 6, so it would have been about 2002, 2003, and I absolutely loved it. Now, I actually played on it more than I actually played on any console at the time. Surprising, I don't know what it was, but I loved that thing. I'd take it to bed with me, I'd play it when I was supposed to be sleeping, I'd wake up, I'd play it in the morning, go on a car ride, I'd play it during the car ride. And I loved it. In fact, I think I had like 30 or 40 games on it before I ended up moving on to the Nintendo DS, which is a whole nother even cool story in and of itself. I had never actually had a Pokemon game. Surprise, surprise, for the Game Boy Advance, never even knew what it was. It wasn't until the DS Lite that I actually got a Pokemon game. And that's a cool story because my brother is actually the one who wanted a DS. When he got the DS Lite, I got a PlayStation Portable. And at the time, I was actually really jealous of him. Looking back on it, I wish I would have loved my PlayStation Portable more because it's probably in a lot of ways the more mature console and probably the more fun handheld console. I wish I still had it today. But at the time, I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't really care about playing the shooters on it. I played those on my PlayStation 2 or GameCube. I didn't care about really much of anything on it, even though I played it. I always was jealous of my brother's DS. He got a special one that was a Pokemon-themed DS. Came with Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. At the time, I didn't even know what Pokemon was. I thought it was something stupid, you know, a fad for kids. Even though I was still a kid myself, I thought even I was too young for it. So, but then I actually looked into it. Watched my brother play Pokemon, I think it was Pearl. Yeah, Pokemon Pearl for the time. And then I got super jealous of his DS. I loved it. From the moment I laid eyes on it, I knew that I had discovered something that I was going to thoroughly enjoy. So I started. He never played on his Diamond version, so I begged him for it. I begged him to let me play on his DS sometime and just look at it. To the point where I'd piss the shit off out of him. Because, you know, he was like, why aren't you playing on your PlayStation Portable? That's what you wanted. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. So eventually, I knew I had to get a DS just for Pokemon. So I worked all summer once, just mowing my neighbor's lawn, saving up my money, and my brother actually helped pay for it because he was sick of me borrowing his DS. So he paid for half, and I paid for half, and I got a DS Lite, and I took his Pokemon Diamond version, and I fell in love with it. Ever since the DS Lite, I have loved Nintendo handhelds even more so than I did as a kid. I loved the Game Boy Advance, and I played on it, had like 30 games for it. But the Nintendo DS is where the real memories started to form. Everything with the Game Boy Advance was like just mindless hours I put into it that I barely even remember half the games I played on it. I don't even know what it was. I just loved the damn thing. But the DS, I have some great memories with that. Starting with Pokemon. Pokemon, to me, has always been kind of like a Skyrim for kids. Like, if you can think about it. But with more of a Final Fantasy battle system. Like, it's really the perfect game for a kid. If you have a lot of imagination, that is. If you're a kid, more like today's kind of kid, that, you know, grew up cussing and watching South Park and all this other shit, then Pokemon might end up getting lost for you. But if you're like me, where you grew up in a more Christian family, you know, where you really didn't hear a lot of cussing, you had a lot of imagination, you were forced kind of to use your imagination more, then Pokemon is perfect for you. Because it just, as a kid, when you can think all this stuff is real, or there's a possibility of this happening, or you just don't give a shit one way or another, you just want to be a part of the universe whether it's real or not, it's perfect for you. And I think it's because Pokemon gives you this sense of power. As a kid, you know, you always feel really powerless, like adults don't understand you, or that no one cares about you. But Pokemon flips that role. All the focus is on the kids. You battle all the kids. Most of the NPCs are kids. The adults talk to you more like a child to a child than an adult to a child. And it's strange. It really can compel you. As a kid, I remember really liking the stories of the game. Nowadays, even though I still love Pokemon, admittedly, I would like to see something more mature for my age, or something new, because the same formula has basically been beaten to death. But that brings me to what I really wanted to talk about today. That's the Nintendo 3DS. After I got the DS Lite, I got a DSi XL, which was basically the same thing. It was just better battery life, bigger DS, does more. And I had that for the longest time. Still just played on like my regular DS though. The 3DS was a bit of a mystery to me. I didn't even know that it had come out until a while after it did, because my friend is a big Nintendo enthusiast. That's all he ever does is play on, you know, Nintendo games. He got a Wii U back when it first came out. He gets the DS whenever it comes out. He's a fucking loser. But no offense to him. So finally, when I heard about it, I didn't even know how I felt about it, because Sony had the PlayStation Vita, and that's what I wanted to get. But then I actually I saw some of the games he had for it, and I was thinking, damn, this looks really good. Like, just thinking about how it looked from back on the DS, like games like Pokemon. He had, I think it was Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, something like that. I was thinking, wow, we have come a long way from the little unanimated sprites that I was used to seeing. So literally, I bought a 3DS just to play Pokemon. And it's pretty funny because I owned it for a whole year, only having Pokemon. Played it for about 100 hours, I think is what it said. And then for a whole year, I never played it. I never even looked at it again. Until just recently. Just recently, a couple months ago, I wanted to pick it up again because I was curious about it and found out a whole bunch of things I didn't know about it. How many more games there were for it that I didn't realize. How many cool games. The fact that you can buy NES games off of the store. So I picked up Punch-Out and a bunch of the Super Mario games, and accidentally got a Game Gear version of Sonic the Hedgehog when I wanted the Sega Genesis version, so I'm fucking pissed about that, but it's all good in the hood. And then I got Pokemon New Super Mystery Dungeon. That game, man. Now, obviously, you probably are seeing some Fallout 4 footage is what I recorded, and that's what I'm going to use for this, because even if I could record Nintendo shit, I wouldn't anyway, because they'd sue me or give me a bunch of bullshit or make me take it down, whatever the hell, because Nintendo sucks with their stupid copyright bullshit. So, even if I could record footage of the game, that's not what you'd see anyway. But I can't... I'm so happy that I played it, because there was one thing I played on the Game Boy Advance that was a Pokemon game, and that was Pokemon Red Rescue Team, which is basically like Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. It's basically the same game. It follows the same premise, you know. You wake up as a Pokemon into the Pokemon universe, don't know what's going on or why you're there, and you meet other Pokemon along the way, and you can communicate with them. As a kid, that was the most magical thing to me. Playing it on the Game Boy Advance, loved it. It was even more like Final Fantasy too. Instead of it being, well, I guess it would be less like Final Fantasy. Basically, where in regular Pokemon, in case you don't know, you find trainers or walk around in tall grass and you battle Pokemon from there with switching them out. In this game, you are the Pokemon walking around in a dungeon trying to find the stairs that leads to the next floor. And you go through it trying to get through the entire floor, picking up items, and following more of a narrative. Usually each dungeon has a reason that you're there, and you go there and you get that all the way. Then you get out of the dungeon and voila, you're back where you began. Progressed in the story a little further. And that's what this game is like. And it is really fun. It takes me back to being a kid again. And that's something that Nintendo has that's very special to me. Even though I love Sony, love PlayStation, swear by PlayStation, when I want to feel like a kid again, and I want to play a really good game, Nintendo's always there. Especially with their handhelds. You can't beat their handhelds. But I did hear something interesting the other day. Nintendo, actually the developer of the 3DS, thinks that the reason, someone proposed to him that the reason that, they were like, why is the 3DS able to survive in an era where smartphones and tablets dominate the mobile gaming industry? And here was his basic response: because you have physical controls. Physical controls? Are you a fucking idiot? Yeah, that's cool, and I like that, and believe me, I wish my phone could do something like that, but that is not why the DS sells. Because if that were true, the PS Vita would be doing just as good, because the only thing that really sucks are the rear touchpads. And there are many ways around having to use them, or use them, like, not enough to make it so you'd never want to play, you could still play a game on it and enjoy it. It's because PS Vita doesn't have any games. There's like nothing on the Vita that you cannot play on a PS3 or a PS4. Now granted, you can't play it on the go, but why would you really want to? If you already have played Uncharted, you really don't have a whole lot of the basic formula for the PS Vita game. It's not going to be canon to the story, more than likely. You just run around and do the platform and you go through the motions. Final Fantasy X and X too. Cool. I can play it on my PS4 and my PS3. And cool, I can play it on the go on my Vita. But what if I've already played it? If I've already played it, why would I want it for the Vita? That's why the DS does better than the Vita. The Vita is for people who really value their PlayStation on the go. But the DS has titles that you can only get on the DS. There are very few Pokemon games you can actually get on a Nintendo console. Like Pokemon Stadium for the N64 is like the only thing you can get that's Pokemon related that I know of. All the other IPs, the Super Mystery Dungeon, the regular version, a lot of really unique Legend of Zelda games, a lot of unique Mario games are all on the DS that are not like the games on the Wii U or any other Nintendo console. That is why the DS is selling so well in this era, and why the Vita is failing. Because nobody really, like, for one thing, kids like to play on the go more than adults. Sadly, it's true. Most of the time, when you're an adult, trying to take your console with you, you're probably not even going to get a chance to use it. Like, even if you're carpooling with someone, the only real use I can see of it when you're an adult is if you're carpooling with someone to your job, and they're the ones who are driving, you could be on your Vita. But even then, your friend might want to talk to you, and chances are you're not even going to be able to get invested in it as easily. Then if you take it to work with you every day, chances are you're not going to get a chance to play it at work unless you got a really lax job. So, realistically, adults don't have a whole lot of use for a handheld console. There's just not a lot of times where they can go out and about and not have to be mentally present. But the kids, they're always forced to go everywhere all the time where they don't want to go. And it's amazing if they don't shut up and the parents want the kids to shut the fuck up and quit bothering them. Stick a DS in front of their face. Buy a DS for your kid, buy them a copy of Pokemon, bing, done. Kid will shut the fuck up and be focused intently on the DS. That is definitely why my parents probably got me a handheld, so that they could, just distract me. So that's why the DS does better, is just simply because it's got games of its own, and because it appeals to kids more. The Vita its selling point is more towards an adult audience, where there is not a whole lot of interest, I would say. That might not be true, but in my opinion, I think kids are much more prone to be given a handheld or want a handheld than an adult. And that is why the DS does so well. So I just wanted to discuss that, talk about that a little bit, because I love Nintendo handhelds, and I love the new Mystery Dungeon game. It takes me back to when I was a kid so easily. I feel it's just like playing the Game Boy game. I absolutely love it. Just the way it takes me back, man. If you've ever played Red Rescue Team, or I think they had a different version of it that was released at the same time, something along those lines, you'd probably love this. Admittedly, it doesn't do a whole lot different from the Game Boy version. I think I said that, but if it brings back nostalgia because of how cool the graphics look, and the 3D effects on the 3DS don't slow the game down. One of the problems I did have with it was that some games would actually have slowdown with the 3D effects, particularly Pokemon Omega Ruby. I don't even use the 3D effects because it just slows the game down. Not on this. It doesn't slow it down a bit and actually looks really cool. So, and it feels like the story is a little bit more mature. Not by much, but it feels like I can appreciate, like, some of the dialogue in the regular Pokemon games. It just feels like it was not meant for me. It feels like it was meant for a kid. Which I guess the whole premise of the games are more meant for kids anyway, but screw all that. I love fucking Pokemon. I'll swear by it until I'm 30, I'm sure. As long as it's still fun to play, and assuming it's even still around until then. I mean, I love the games. They're fun. They take you back. They make you feel like a kid again, because there's so many games across so many years. So, I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about Pokemon, about the 3DS, a tale of how I managed, why I love Nintendo handhelds, where it's always been. I love their consoles too. I'm looking at my GameCube right over there. Love the GameCube too, but you know, handhelds are really where they dominate the market, in my opinion. So anyway, just there you guys go. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about my past stories. You probably don't. That's probably why my channel is not very popular, is because there's a lot of people that do the same basic thing that aren't 18 and have little experience in the gaming world outside of, say, the PlayStation 2 6th generation era. So most of what I know I've had to learn about the previous generations. So I know that I may not be the best channel, but I definitely enjoy getting to talk about this kind of thing. And who knows, maybe years down the line, my friends and family will see these videos and they'll learn a little bit more about me, about my childhood, things I liked. And that's really what I do this for. But if anyone else out there is actually listening, and my friends and family, thank you guys for watching so much. I hope that you have a little more insight into my childhood and my life, and I'll see you guys later. And for those of you I won't see later, game the fuck on, in the words of Alpha Omega Sin. Alright, see ya.